Buddy, bear with me for 2 seconds while I get this in my cradle. Let's see, let's get it like that, maybe. Yeah, close enough. All right, everybody, how you doing? Hit like, hit subscribe, turn on notifications, because I put out content, whether it be knife stuff, gun stuff, political stuff, bike stuff, dog stuff occasionally. You never know what's going to come up on the channel. Dave's Man Cave. Can't quite do that one in reverse flick, because it's a lockback. Anyway, what are we looking at today? So I go through different phases of knives. Lately I'm on a traditional lockback kick. And, you know, this one's actually almost ideal. It's all just big enough for my hands. It's the Civivi Rustic Gent, which is discontinued. Just did a review of it. Get one while you can, because when they're gone, unless they reintroduce them, which I can't imagine they would. This is a fantastic little knife. And it's just a little bit bigger than my little Boker TS2.0 gentleman's knife and my Rough Rider Reserve lockback. And there's one that I like a lot, but it's a case knife, but it was just a little bit too big, and it was not a lockback. So I was like, well, I need to find something that's a little bit more in this larger traditional style, maybe not quite as big, but I want it to look kind of like that, but be a nice lockback. So I searched around. Ooh, that is a proud pin, and that is a pin that has walked out. That is a loose pin. Huh. That was flush the other day, but I guess for me sitting here working the action and stuff, that pin has started to walk out. God damn it, case. There's always the problem with case knives. You get a good one, or you don't. So I'm gonna have to get a punch, see if I can tap that back in without damaging the wood. Anyway, so what did I get? I got a Boker. The model number on this bad boy is BK-1011SWB. This is one of their folding hunters. Got it from Knives Plus. Nice folks there. Actually, I think probably the first time I bought a knife from them. And I used to have a knife that was similar to this, and I don't know what happened to it. I don't know if I gave it away. I don't know if I sold it. So I just ended up going and buying another one. Ooh, that is pretty. And so what I've got is, this one should be, yep, this is Boker, made in Germany. So this is the Solingen, Germany. Needs a little bit of oil on the pivot. Much better out of the box than that. Need to just polish that up. And let's see. Yeah, there's a little bit, they didn't do a good job. There's like a dust on it, and it feels like from them polishing it. So it's slightly abrasive, which is probably why bouncing around in the box, there's actually little scuffs. I'm gonna have to probably take my buffing wheel to that, just bring that polish back, but there's some very fine little scratches in there because it seems like Fritz at the factory didn't properly wipe the knife down and blow all the dirt and grit out of it, which I can also feel right there. It's a little gritty. You hear it. So that needs some oil. You know, even when you go with a nice German one, there's still always got to be an issue. In any case, this is a carbon steel blade. It is about the same size. We're looking at a 4-inch blade. We are looking at very, very similar. Well, I wanted a knife that was a little smaller, and it is in some ways. The handle's a little smaller. It's definitely tapers down here. It definitely tapers down just a little bit here. It's about the same thickness, so it should sit in the pocket. It just takes up a little less real estate, but more importantly, this is not a lockback. This one is. So you got your nice tree branding on there. No blade wobble. That's good. Itty bitty bit of rocking forward and back. Normal on a lockback. Some you get are tighter than a drum. Others are, could use a little bit of, whatchamacallit, a little bit of work. So let's wipe it down. Get all the grit, anything out of there. And I need to oil the pivot, but oh no, actually I got some oil up here. Let's see, let's get some of the grit out of there. Yeah, it was kind of odd. That's the first Boker I bought where it seemed like they didn't quite polish it up and clean it off. There's no oil on there. It's very dry, and you can feel that in the pivot. I mean, whatever. It's going to get dirty and gunked up anyway. I guess it's not the end of the world. The blade is very pretty. I like the fact that there's very little blade wobble. That's hard to do. Not hard to do. It's hard to get a good one. It's always basically you're just rolling the dice. You're going to either get one that locks up tight and has no blade wobble, or you're going to get one that's loosey-goosey. That just seems to be the way it is. All right, let's do a quick sharpness test. I'm still not 100% health-wise. I'm still feeling kind of, yeah, nice and sharp right out to the tip. It's a good workable sharp blade. Push test, yeah. Let's do it out near the tip. Yeah, it does push test all across the blade. Really nice. I don't even think I feel the need to strop that. If anything, I'll try to mess it up, so I'm gonna leave that. It's a good, strong lock. A little bit of stiction, but I believe just putting some oil down in that pivot will help clean that up. I'm gonna use, I've got my, was a bottle of Sig oil originally, but now it's Shell Rotella T6 5W40 full synthetic motorcycle oil, which is good for sticking to parts. I figure if it works inside an engine at the temperatures and of a modern motorcycle engine going at 16,000 RPMs, it'll be fine on guns and knives and stuff. I would say this is really nice. The only thing I'm a little bummed by, and I'll go down on my buffing wheel real quick, is if you can see real close, you can see there's like some scuffs. And that was because they put it in here dirty. Like they put it on the buffing wheel and dust kind of collects on it. And they didn't carefully wipe it off or blow it off. They just wrapped it up. It was probably a Friday afternoon, about 4:59 p.m. and Fritz was looking to get to the pub for a stein of beer, and just didn't blow it out. And as a result, you get that little slightly, little bits of metal and stuff and polish. You get that in there and it bounces around, and you can actually see kind of where it was rubbing, just in shipment and whatever. So I'm going to go down there with my polishing wheel and just give it a real quick little boof on some of the stuff. But everything else, no proud pins. Really nicely done. The bone feels good. This is inset properly. It's not, sometimes they don't do it straight and one side will be proud, but the other isn't. That's uniform all the way around. Good job there. Transition's really good. No edges, nothing to grip or catch. That looks like it might not be comfortable, but the way it sits in your hand, it's right in that pocket. You don't even feel it. And also, like, you really would have to try hard to get your hand to really depress that. It is a fairly stiff spring. Might loosen up a little bit over time and just breaking the thing in, but really well made. It's polished down inside. And here's what I like, and here's the difference between case and this. When I got this case knife, and this is a $100 knife, so it's not super cheap, but like, the edges up in there, that round part that the lock bar or the spring rides on, like they didn't polish it the way they polish this. You can see, look at that. If I can get that edge, just get the light on it. I can see it from my angle, but maybe the camera's not picking up. But it's like pitted and stuff. I mean, they stamp it. It's a rough grind. On the part that's outside of the knife, they did a good job. That's a pretty good job of polishing it and everything. But the piece where the metal on metal, when I first opened this up, this thing was gritty, and I've sat here doing this probably 500 times, which is probably what started that pin walking out. And those two metal pieces rubbing on each other under the pressure of the spring, pushing the one piece of metal into the other, it'll knock the burrs off and they'll wear each other out. And so that is actually smoothing out nice. This right out of the box, other than it needing a little bit of oil and feeling the little bit of grit, but it's not grit from that. When you look at that edge there, that's polished. That's more like when you look at a Rough Rider Reserve. When you look at this, that inner piece in there, those pieces, now these aren't rounded like that one is because these have half stops, but that one doesn't. Boker does a much better job of before they assemble it. And this is one of those things where you have to do it. Like, it'd be really hard for me to get in there and polish this. once it's assembled. You'd have to have, I mean, I guess if you had a really skinny little polishing wheel on a Dremel, I could maybe get in there, but I'd be worried about nicking this and doing anything to it. So, but it's sharp out of the box. It's a good sized knife. It fits in the hand really nice. I like the way it kind of tapers down. You could choke up on it. It doesn't feel too bulky. Other than feeling the bit of dust in there because it's dry, that's really, I wish they had polished it a little bit, or when they were done polishing it, they'd blown the dust off a little bit better so that I didn't have to go in now and do that myself. Or I could just leave it because it is a brass, or it's a softer metal. It's not like the blade. It's not that hardened steel. And so, I'm probably just going to get it scuffed up in pockets or laying it on the desk or something, and there's grit anyway. So I may just, all right, so it looks like it's already partly worn. Rather than me risk going and buffing it and my wheel and compound puts a different finish on it. Now I've got to do the whole knife, and I've got to make sure, maybe I won't want to mess with it. Maybe I'll just say, all right, yeah, it looks like it's not brand new. It's already got a little wear on it. It doesn't affect how it works at all. It would be nice if it was super shiny, but honestly, I've already scuffed up this one. I put it down on something and there was some grit or something on the tabletop, and so you can see right there where the tip of my thumb is, I've got already marks. So this thing's only 2 weeks old. So I guess I'll just, I'll talk myself into it. I'm just going to leave this one. I'm not going to dick with it and try to make it perfect because you're not going to be able to keep it. If it's a knife you're going to carry and use. Oh, blade centering. Nice. Nice on that. That's like pretty much perfect. This is a nice knife, other than, like I said, other than it being dry. So the other applicator I've got has a needle on it so I can get the oil right down in the areas where I want instead of just putting a big blob of it here and letting it all kind of run down where I want, and then I got to clean some of it up. I'll go ahead and use that applicator. But that's nice. I'm going to carry this a lot. When I want to go small and incognito, this has been my go-to lately. It's gentlemanly, it's classy, and I'm a very classy guy. You probably know that by now. But you got a little bit of carbon fiber and micarta, so very traditional shape, and the locking style is traditional, but it's made very nice. This is one of the most, as far as like being put together and the fit and feel and the action, this is better at $70 than any of these, and frankly, any of my lockbacks. Other than my MKM that made my steel wheel gecko. That one's a little bit nicer, but that's also a 200, I think now they're like $210 or $215 knives. Those are not cheap knives. I would say the Civivi here is the nicest one for a smaller knife, but there's times where I want something even more traditional, even more classic. This is traditional-ish. It's classic-ish. This one's going to be more traditional. That's a Boker. This case is traditional. The Rough Rider Reserve, I mean, the gun stock lockback, I think is, I don't know if they did gun stocks as lockbacks, but that's definitely a classic, more look. But I would say if you're going purely traditional, these two are going to be, these two are traditional. This is definitely traditional. This is traditional-ish, but not as ish as this one, if that makes sense. But it's a nice size. It's a nice blade. It's nice and stabby. I've noticed that with some of the case knives, the points are kind of blunt. You can actually hit them pretty hard before you go, ow. This one's pretty damn sharp. I wouldn't want to do that. This one's closer to the Rough Rider, and the Civivi is, I mean, you got to be real careful. That tip is, this is just a little scalpel. And it's a very nice knife when you want to go incognitus. But when you want a nice, bigger, something you get your hands on, I love it. I wasn't sure I was going to like the white one. The white bone. I looked everywhere. They had red and other stuff, but finding these is getting hard. I think it's just people, a lot of people just aren't going for lockbacks these days, other than the Bucks and some of the old standbys. But some of these other brands, I think they're just kind of moving away from it. People like liner locks. People want button locks. People want other stuff. And so I had trouble finding these. I don't think I've ever bought from Knives Plus before. I've gone to other places. Nothing against them. I just always found what I wanted on Amazon. And if I couldn't find there, I would go to Blade HQ or what's the other one? Knife Center. And they just always have what I want. So I just never bothered searching further. I had to search around to find somebody that had these in stock. And the only one I could find was this one. And I like it. I think the white bone looks really, really nice. I am a fan of the darker colors. Would have loved it in blue or red. But there you go. You got the bigger hunting knife. And then you got the little gentleman folder if you wanted to stay in the family there. Very, very nice. Edge feels great. Yeah, that is a nice, nice edge. Not too toothy, but it just went right through paper and curled paper and did push tests here, here, and here. A lot of the knives do push tests out here, but then there don't seem to be a sharp down here or vice versa. This did push tests all the way through the blade. It was really nice. So that's going in my pocket. I'm gonna go downstairs, clean it up, and oil it up. And yeah, that's all I got for today. Yeah, I got nothing. I have brain fog. Sorry. I even though my COVID tests came up negative, I think I had COVID this week. I'm still getting over it. I'm loopy. I'm out of it. So anyway, that is the new to me, Solingen Folding Hunter Lockback with smooth white bone. Very, very pretty knife. Very nice.